We are. Hello, everyone. Greetings to you all, wherever you're watching from, whether in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. I bring you warm greetings. It's currently 9:02 p.m. Nigerian time, 3:02 p.m. US Central Time, and 4:02 p.m. US Eastern Time. Welcome to today's program. Once again, this is Nigerian Constitution and Your Rights. Nigerian Constitution, Know Your Right. The program powered by the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria, an organization who cares about the promotion and of democracy in Nigeria and the security of lives of Nigerians. So, and that is the organization that powers this program every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, or 3 p.m. US Central Time, or 4 p.m. US Eastern Time. Welcome to today's discussion. Today's discussion is based on the topic Peter Obi and Labour Party versus INEC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Kazim Shettima, and All Progressive Congress, that's APC. Take a minute to share the link of the show wherever you're watching from. We stream on 3 consecutive platforms: Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Wherever you're watching from, share the link and invite more people to come watch with you and join the conversation in the comment section. Okay, the comment section is for you. You can voice your opinion. You can bring your idea to the table. What do you think about the topic of today? Are you happy to listen in today? Are you ready to learn today? Because this is an interesting topic. So I hope you're going to join the conversation from the comment section. And let's go. Once again, today's topic is Peter Obi and Labour Party versus INEC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Kazim Shettima, and APC. Okay, so what do you think? I don't know, something happened. I don't know if you could hear me. What do you think about the petition? What do you think about the petition? Let me just give you a brief preamble. If for people that are not Nigerians that are listening to this broadcast today, the petition is based on the just concluded general elections in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country in West Africa, or the most populous black nation in the world. It's the most populous black nation in the world and the biggest economy in Africa. And we have been suffering bad leadership for years, for decades. And Nigerians were eager to have a change. Nigeria are eager to see something different. Nigeria were hoping that this election 2023 is going to birth a new Nigeria. That was the hope of all Nigerians. That was the dream of all Nigerians. That's what Nigerians were hoping for. And 25th of February 2020, the general election happened, or the federal election, that's the presidential election and the National Assembly election. And before this election, the Independent National Electoral Commission was beating their chest and promising they are ready, they're going to give Nigeria the best election ever. That was their boastings, And then the election happened and Nigerians were disappointed. There was so much irregularities. The promise of uploading results directly from the polling unit to the INEC server did not happen. It did not happen. And that is like the number one reason the Nigerians were even confident to come out to vote this election, because Nigerians have been disenfranchised for a long time. They have lost interest in voting for a long time. So, but the new Electoral Act of 2022 and the promise of INEC to enforce that law and ensure that transmission of result directly from polling unit happens, that promise was dashed. That promise was not brought into play on the election day, come on 25th of February 2020. So after that, then that is what brought to this petition. Okay, so this petition is from, so we have, okay, we have in petition, they have petitioners and respondents. So a petitioner is the person that filed the petition, or the group of persons that filed the petition. Okay, so the petitioners in this petition are Peter Gregory Obi and Labour Party. Those are the two petitions. So we have two petitioners in this petition: Peter Gregory Obi and Labour Party. Then the respondent are who the petition is against. So and in this case, there are, I believe, four respondents in this petition, and these four respondents are classified as respondent 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like we have the petitioner have petition 1, 2. Petition 1 is Peter Gregory Obi. Petitioner 2 is Labour Party. Then when we come to the respondents, we have respondent 1, which is INEC, that's the Independent Electoral Commissioner, a commission, I mean to say. And respondent 2 is Senator Bola Tinubu. Then respondent 3 is Senator Shatima Kazim. And then the respondent 4 is All Progressive Congress, that's APC. So those are the petitioners and the respondents, okay? And this petition will rely upon about 52 different documents, which include various INEC forms, result sheets in both hard copies, electronic copies, ballot papers, certified true copies of voters register, letter requests to the INEC chairman requesting for Beaver's report, the certified true copy of the Beaver's report itself, certified true copy of list of all voters from all polling units, a certified true copies of all INEC officers and ad hoc officers as well from all polling units, and approved guidelines and regulations for this conduct of the election 2023, etc., and so on and so forth. About 52 different documents will be relied upon on this particular petition. So without further ado, I believe I have a guest in the house. So let me bring him to the stream to join the conversation. And welcome, Mr. UC Maxwell. It's good to have you here today. Can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the house as we continue with the conversation? Are you there? UC Maxwell?
Yes, I am. Good evening. Can you hear me?
So good to have you here. Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, my name is UC Maxwell. I'm the founder of Lodget Foundation, a foundation that is committed to the advocacy of human rights and, of course, fighting against the violations of these rights. And also interested in educating the public on the rights that they enjoy guaranteed by the Constitution. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, UC Maxwell, for coming in today to participate in this conversation on Peter Obi and Labour Party versus INEC, Bola Tinubu, Kashim Shettima, and APC. This is part 1. What is part 1? That means next week we're going to do part 2 because this petition is actually huge in volume, it's large. I don't think it's appropriate to squeeze it in just a 30-minute, 35 minutes program. So that's why I say it's better we split it into two. Part 1 today, and next Tuesday we'll finish the remaining part of whatever we did not cover today. We'll cover the remaining part next Tuesday. Okay. So before I ask you a question, I'll read the 2 comments I have here. So please, my audience, wherever you are, participate in the conversation by commenting in the comment section, ask questions about the petition, or bring your own views about the petition, okay? Here is from Rita English. So greetings, everyone. It's been a while at this end, and it's been great here again. Thank you, Rita English, and greetings to you as well. And I have here a channel for emancipation for a free Nigeria. Say good evening, Doc, watching from United Kingdom. Much love, brother, for your service to your fatherland. Thank you for watching, and keep sharing and keep participating. Share your opinion about this topic today, okay? And those are the 2 comments I have for now. So back to the meat of the matter, the petition. So over to you, UC Master. I want to hear your view. Like, what was your initial reaction? You know, you've had a brief of summary, or at least introduction to the petition, a bit of my introduction to the petition. So when you read the petition for the first time, what was your initial reaction, UC Maxwell?
Okay. Well, of course, I expected Peter Obi to go to court after the revelations or the announcement of the results of the elections, and of course, what I like to call, a facade of an election, which the Independent National Electoral Commission, with all others, whom they collude with, to give us this sham of an election. I knew that there would definitely be litigations, not only from Peter Obi, of course, but from, other contestants or candidates in the election, Atiku, Kwankwaso, other frontliners in the election. Just to say, the petition is a very, very good document, and over a 99 pages document of a petition, which has to do with the grounds for which the petition is based, the prayers for which they pray the court to grant, or what they seek the court to grant. And also, they also attach several, documents, affidavits, list of documents that will be used in the petition. The petition is grounded, and it's a good one. The petition is loaded. I think there are basically 3 grounds as opposed to about 4 grounds which were generated from the Atiku petition. Outside those 3 grounds, they were able to also generate some prayers which borders on the need for INEC to terminate the election. The need for the courts to order INEC to organize a rerun, disqualify the person of Tinubu as a candidate, disqualify Shetima as a candidate, and such other grounds, which I believe that we'll be looking into going forward. But generally speaking, the petition is a good one. It's a good document, founded on very good provisions of the law.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Your view and your analysis of your initial reaction to the petition when you read it. Myself, when I read the petition, I said, "Well, this is weird. This is a robust petition. They covered so many grounds, even though the grounds were just articulated in 3 grounds. It's like the petition is based on 3 grounds, but that 3 grounds was expanded to cover so much grounds, if you get what I mean. So I think it's a good one. So we'll start. We'll address each ground at a time. Okay. Maybe we'll be able to do 2 grounds today. Maybe we'll do 1 ground today, and then whatever ground to cover is left, we'll do that next Tuesday. So let's start with the first ground. The first ground of the first ground or the prayer that was requested, that the second respondent was at the time of election not qualified to contest. That was the first ground in which this petition is based. Let me just read out the 3 grounds, then we'll come back and focus on the first ground and go. Then the second ground So for some people that are wondering who is the second respondent, when I was giving introduction to this petition, I gave you guys who is the first respondent, who is the second respondent, and so on and so forth. So, and who is the petitioner? The first petitioner, I have two petitioners in this petition. The first petitioner is Peter Gregory, and the second petitioner is Labour Party. Then respondent, now there are four respondents. The first respondent is INEC, that's an Independent National Electoral Commission. Then the second respondent is Senator Bola Tinubu. Then the third respondent is Senator Shetima Kazin. And then the fourth respondent is All Progressive Congress, that's APC. So these are the respondents. So now the first ground is that the second respondent, which is Bola Tinubu, was at the time of election not qualified to contest. That is the number one ground. The number two ground is that the election of the second respondent, that's Bola Tinubu, was invalid by reason of corruption, by reason of corrupt practices or non-compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022. Okay. Then the third ground is that the respondent was not duly elected by majority of the lawful vote cast on election. Okay. So these are the three grounds on which the petition is based on. Okay. So now let's go back to the first base, the first ground. So what do you think? You see, what do you think about the first ground of the petition? That's the second respondent, that's Bola Tinubu, was not at the time of election qualified to contest. What do you think about that? And based on all the robust argument they made, or the information they added to portray that ground, what do you think about it? And then let's go from there. Let's dissect it as from a legal standpoint, since you are in the law and you are a founder of a law organization.
Okay. Very, very simply, you've read out, the grounds for it, that the second respondent was, at the time of the election, was not qualified to contest. However, when you look into the arguments of the grounds properly, you would see that the petitioners, being the Labour Party and Peter Obi, through their lawyers, canvassed arguments that were not restricted to the second respondent alone, that is Tinubu. For the sake of the public, I will just refer to their names. They did not only question the disqualification or the status of qualification of Tinubu alone, but they also questioned the status of qualification of Shetima being the vice. You would recall that sometime in 2022, the governor of Bayelsa State was sacked by the courts. Now, it is not because of an illegality of the candidates or the candidacy of the governorship of the governor, but the candidacy of the deputy governor. So they found an illegality that brought the deputy governor into office. So on that basis, because it was a joint ticket, the illegality also affected the governor himself. So he was sacked by the courts. So the petitioners in this petition were very intelligent to know that it is enough for any one of the candidates to be disqualified as at the time of the election. It would be enough for them to be sacked by the tribunal. So what did they do? They canvassed the first argument on basis of Shetima having double nomination. They argued that as at the time that he was appointed the vice presidential candidate, he still had a candidacy for the senatorial seat in Borno State. Now, if you look at the Electoral Act, particularly Section 35, and also you look at Section 115 of the Electoral Act, that talks about the rule against multiple candidacy or multiple nomination, that a person, knowing fully well that he is a candidate at a particular time for one constituency, should not allow himself to be a candidate for another constituency. So they are arguing Here, on 14th of July, he was announced, that's July 2022, he was announced as the vice presidential candidate. On 15th, at that time, he was still the candidate of the Senate. On 15th of July was when he now wrote a letter asking himself to be recused, to be withdrawn from the candidacy of the Borno state seat. So the law envisages that no person should hold double candidacy for two different constituencies. So the petitioners are arguing that the Borno state senatorial seat is one constituency. Then the Federal Republic of Nigeria is another constituency. So being a candidate in a senatorial seat and being a candidate in the vice presidential seat makes it a double candidacy. So they are now asking the courts, as against Section 35, Section 115 of the Constitution, that he should what? Be disqualified on this basis, and to deem every vote that they received as wasted votes. So by this, relying on several documents to further this argument. Four major documents. One of the documents is an affidavit and personal particulars for Borno Central constituency. They would also be tendering, the same affidavit and personal particulars for the vice presidential. So they'll be tendering evidence showing that he was a candidate in Borno Central senatorial seat, and also evidences that he was a candidate for the vice presidential seat. They will also be tendering the notice of withdrawal, which he signed on the 15th of July. That's the notice of withdrawal, which is signed on the 15th of July for the Borno state seat, and also that which he signed as a candidate for the vice presidential seat on 14th. On another note, on this same notice of disqualification, that a person is not eligible to contest election, they canvassed arguments on the person of Bola Tinubu, that as at the time he contested election, he had been fined the sum of $460,000 by a court in America. The provisions of Section 137, subsection 1, paragraph D is very clear that any person who has been under a sentence of imprisonment or a fine for dishonesty or fraud or any other name so called, that the person will be deemed disqualified to hold the seat of presidency in Nigeria. So the petitioners, intelligently having access to documents, are canvassing argument that as at the time Bola Tinubu was a candidate, and for him to be declared the winner of the elections, he was under, or he had been under, a fine for what? For a case of drug trafficking, where he forfeited the sum of $460,000 to the courts in America. To support this, they will be tendering documents, three major documents, which is a verified complaint for such forfeiture, stipulations and compromise settlement of the claims. That is how they were able to agree on him to forfeit, how he was going to compromise to relinquish the sum of $460,000 to the courts, and similarly a decree for forfeiture for the district judge. So the district judge gave that ruling for that forfeiture of the monies in a said, I think, Heritage Bank and some other banks. So they are canvassing arguments that on the basis of the provisions of the Constitution, Section 137, sub 1, paragraph D, that this man, this said person who was declared to be president, is disqualified, having been put abad by virtue of this provision. And the person of Shetima, equally, who had a double candidacy, cannot be deemed to be winners of the election. So they are now asking the court that all the votes that have been scored by both Bat, Shetima, and the APC, that they are wasted votes and invalid votes as a result of their disqualifications, and that the courts should declare that PO has the correct and legitimate highest scored results and should be declared as the winner of the election. So this is just simply what ground one is basically arguing, a disqualification of the candidacy of both Tinubu and Shetima.
All right. Thank you very much, UC Max, for that wonderful analysis of ground one of the petition. It was very insightful and you were very articulate in dissecting it and helping us understand it better. And in this argument now, some people will say that some of this argument, I think UC Maxwell just dropped off. That's a problem, connection problem. So I think we have an issue. We'll just go ahead and wrap this section for today. We'll cover ground 2 and 3 next Tuesday. So please come ready to learn and dissect and analyze the ground 2 and ground 1, no, ground 2 and ground 3 of the petition. Since we are going to be only able to cover ground 1 in today's session. Okay. Oh, you see my since we're back. So you see Max, welcome back. I think we'll be only able to cover ground 1 of the petition today. So we'll continue with ground 2 and 3 next Tuesday. So please, I hope that you will make our time to come to discuss ground 2 and 3 next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, as always. Well, I have one question on your summation or your analysis of what ground 1 of the petition entails. About the double candidacy of Shettima and Bola Tinubu not qualified to participate due to his drug case in Chicago, where $460,000 was forfeited by the U.S. government. So some people or some legal minds in the other camp are of the opinion that that is a pre-election matter and not that we are in post-election. So what would you say to that? Just make that a 1-minute response and then also wrap it up with your closing remarks so that we'll come back next Tuesday and continue. Go ahead, UC Maxwell.
All right, thank you very much. Now it is unintelligent to when I listen to a lot of arguments that people canvass, basically you would hear a lot of people say things that would definitely favor their standpoints, and it is quite understandable. But the rules of courts or the business of the courts are not bothered about what people think, but it is bothered about the facts and evidences that are presented before it. What these people have based their arguments on are the provisions of section 137 sub 1 paragraph E of the Constitution. Recall that I mentioned paragraph D. Now paragraph E creates a limitation period of 10 years for a person who has been convicted for a crime of dishonesty or has been sentenced by the Code of Conduct Bureau. This is not envisaged by this petition. The petition does not base its argument on the provisions of 137 sub 1 paragraph E, which creates a 10 years limitation period. No, it is basing its argument on paragraph D. And paragraph D is very clear, apt, and unambiguous that where any court, any tribunal whatsoever, be it in Nigeria, be it outside Nigeria, there is no limitation as to time, as to jurisdiction, or as to the particular court that may have decreed or sentenced such a person. So where there is any court, any tribunal in anywhere in the world, within or without Nigeria, has sentenced a person to imprisonment or fined a person for offenses bordering on dishonesty or fraud or any other name so called, as the words are written in the Constitution, that such a person should be disqualified. And that is the argument of the petitioners, Peter Obi and the Labour Party, that this person, Bola Tinubu, who was declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission, at a time was fined the sum of $460,000 which he forfeited to the US government. Recall also, and it is in this petition that, the article petition and other petitions which are before the court have a lot to do with these same issues. Even though on the article petition, there is no express mention of the drug case and all of that. But you would recall that the same Chief Justice of Nigeria now had given a verdict in the case of I think is it Mustafa or Mohammed Abacha versus the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where it held that a forfeiture is a sentence of conviction to any person who has committed an offense. So it matters not where he was sentenced, and that is basically the argument of the petitioners here. It is not based on paragraph E of section 137 sub 1, but based on 137 sub 1 paragraph D, particularly of the 1999 Constitution. So they can make whatever arguments they want to make of it, but we'll see events unfold at the tribunals.
Thank you very much. As we are eagerly waiting to see as the event unfolds in tribunal. Unfortunately, this is where we're going to end it today, my beloved brothers and sisters and watching in Nigeria or anywhere across the globe. We're going to continue this part 2. So this part 1 will only cover first ground, because as I said in my introduction, this petition is based on 3 grounds, and today we've only touched on ground 1. I was hoping we would touch 1 and 2, but no time. I'll have other activities lined up. So next week, Tuesday, as usual, we'll come here every Tuesday, so at 9 p.m. So next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m., come here ready to dissect the remaining 2 grounds on which this petition is based, okay? Today's ground is that the second respondent, which is Bola Tinubu, was at the time of election not qualified to contest. That was the first ground we discussed today. And then next Tuesday we'll cover ground 2, which says that at the time of election, the second respondent, that's Bola Tinubu, was invalid for the reason of corrupt practices. That his election was invalid for the reason of corrupt practices and non-compliance with the Electoral Act of 2022. And the third ground is that the second respondent, which is Bola Tinubu, was not duly elected by majority of the vote of lawful vote cast on election day. So those are the main 2 grounds that we shall go and dive in proper next Tuesday, 9 p.m. So come ready to learn and also watch as the law unfolds. Thank you very much for joining me this Tuesday, and thank you, UC Maxwell, for coming. And I hope to see you next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. You guys have a lovely evening, and it's good to have you always. We shall continue in the conversation, Nigerian Constitution and your rights, powered by Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria. Thank you very much and have a good evening.